Hello, my name is Rabbi Abram Goodstein, and I gave this sermon on June 11th. Let me begin this week's sermon with a quote from the weekly portion, and it goes like this. For the whole community is holy, everyone. Adonai is in their midst. This famous quote does not come from a likely source, and is in fact a rebuke. Here at this moment, we have a Levite named Korach accusing Moses and Aaron of abusing their leadership. Korach, with 250 respectable chieftains, accuses Moses of being first among equals. And Korach goes on to say, "Why then do you raise yourselves above Adonai's congregation?" Now this is a problem. Last week, we talked about how the 10 spies who were sent into the land of Canaan recommended that the Israelites do not go into Canaan by suggesting that the Israelites would be defeated by a mythical race of people known as Nephilim. This started a full revolt that led to Adonai punishing the Israelites by having them wander the wilderness for 40 years. And only through Moses' fast thinking did Adonai not completely destroy the Israelites. And so last week, we received a pretty good understanding of Moses' role with the Israelites. Adonai in our Torah is powerful, but also somewhat mercurial. Moses, through plagues and persuasion, manages Adonai's great power for the benefit of the Israelites. But Moses often struggles as well. Moses, more than anyone, knows the stakes of his leadership is the complete annihilation of the Israelite people. And that is a lot of pressure for one person. This is not the job that I would want, nor anyone else should want this job for that matter. And yet we have Korach accusing Moses of being Adonai's favorite and receiving special benefits from that status. Ironically, Korach, being a Levite, is also receiving special benefits compared to the rest of the Israelites. Perhaps Korach is rebelling so he can get Moses' job. However, I think Korach makes a good point in some ways. The Israelites aren't a nation yet, more like a proto-nation. And they have just been remanded to walk the wilderness for 40 years and know that whatever nation they become, their generation of Israelites will not see it. So, if this generation of Israelites is a generation of walkers, then what are they? I don't think Korach's accusations are necessarily because of Adonai's favoritism, but due to an Israelite identity crisis. Korach is not alone. Not only does he get 250 chieftains to join his cause, but the Torah weaves in a separate rebellion led by Dathan and Abram of the Reuben tribe. Even if Moses could quell these two rebellions himself, his hands are tied. Because Moses' boss, Adonai, is always aware of what the Israelites are doing. Moses cannot take in the Israelites' grievances confidentially. And I imagine if there was some lag time between the Israelites' rebellion and Adonai hearing about it, Moses may have been able to offer some meaningful guidance. Instead, Moses falls on his face. I believe Moses falls on his face because he knows Adonai is hearing about this rebellion the exact same time Moses is. He knows at the very least Korach and these 250 chieftains will be punished for questioning Moses, which Adonai will interpret as questioning Adonai. Moses knows it is possible Adonai will also destroy every Israelite, just like Adonai threatened to do after the revolt from the report of the 10 spies. Moses next offers Korach some directions. Now, it's not clear whether this is an idea cooked up by just Moses or Adonai is talking through Moses. Moses asks Korach and the 250 chieftains to bring a pan with burning incense to the altar at the tabernacle. Now, the archaeologist in me is keenly interested in these fire pans. These pans, which we later learn are made from copper or bronze, are what the Israelites used to move hot coals around the tabernacle. And now they are using them as an act of rebellion. In terms of special effects, the punishment of this rebellion is spectacular. First, Moses' worst fears are realized when Adonai asks him and Aaron to step back so Adonai can annihilate the whole Israelite people. Instead of stepping back, Moses and Aaron bravely once again fall to their faces and say, "O God, source of breath of our bodies, when one member sins, will you be wrathful with the whole community?" This last-minute plea seems to work, because Adonai then says for everyone to get away from the rebels. Now, the details next are a bit fuzzy, because the Torah seems to narrate the same Korach rebels dying in two different ways. At first, it seems that the Korach rebels and all of their possessions experience the ground beneath them opening up, and they tumble down to Sheol while still alive. It feels like an inverted moment of Elijah going to heaven alive. Sheol is not necessarily a hell in the Torah, but I imagine it's not a place that any Israelite is prepared to go, especially going there alive, whatever that is. But then the text says, a fire went forth from Adonai and consumed the 250 chieftains and Korach on the spot. It's as if Adonai was so mad that Adonai figured out how to kill Korach's rebels twice. Both ways, very dramatically. Though most modern Bible scholars will say what we're seeing here is two rebellion stories being woven together imperfectly, which is less exciting. Even here, the Israelites do not learn their lesson and rebel again. This rebellion is faceless and seems to be among all of the Israelites. Korach gets a dying wish, a full-blown rebellion. Then the destruction of the Israelite formula resets. Adonai tells Moses and Aaron to step aside as Adonai annihilates all the Israelites. Instead, Moses and Aaron fall to their faces. Moses then directs Aaron to make an emergency offering with a fire pan. And Aaron performs it and then runs around the camp with a smoking fire pan. This apparently saves most of the Israelites, with a report of 14,700 who died from a plague from Adonai. Watching the Israelites' faithless action and then Adonai's overreaction again and again is exhausting, to say the least. I mean, what's going on here? Why does this keep happening? And my thought is that this is more than just an identity crisis. This is a meaning crisis. In Egypt, the Israelites were promised the most powerful advocate, Adonai, the creator God and friend of the patriarchs. Adonai promised the Israelites a land flowing with milk and honey, and a people who will be fruitful and multiply. And Adonai holds up to Adonai's end of this bargain, just not for this generation of Israelites who left Egypt. Meanwhile, generation of Israelites who left Egypt most likely assumed this great promise would be their legacy, and not just the legacy of their progeny. Now the Israelites find themselves wandering and dying in the wilderness. And they thought they were going to have a grand future. And when Adonai took that away from them, they no longer seem to know what they're living for. In a previous sermon, I mentioned that this generation of Israelites becomes a caretaking generation. And now we're seeing how hard this is for the Israelites. Being a caretaker is not achieving greatness to them. It's preparing future generations to do so. And this generation of Israelites are hurt and struggling at losing such a meaningful experience of becoming a great nation. And they're not consoled by the knowledge that their children will be part of Adonai's grand future. Instead, they are forced to die as nomads. But I also believe that it was their choices that led them to this future, as unfortunate as it is. And thanks to our Torah, the consequences of their choices is something that we can learn from. A life of constant doubt is often a life of wandering. Thank you.